Hey Astra Kids, and welcome back. And in today's video, we'll be talking about Venus in the third house. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So before we start, just a few quick disclaimers. You first want to understand what sign is Venus positioned in. Is Venus exalted in the sign of Pisces, debilitated in the sign of Virgo, in its own sign of Taurus or Libra, or in a sign that it enjoys being in? This is very important to understand. Along with this, you want to see, is Venus in conjunction with any planets or receiving aspects from any planets, as this will alter the results of Venus in your natal chart. Along with this, you want to understand which houses are ruled over by Taurus or Libra, as Venus will have a direct influence over these houses. You also want to see, is Venus compatible with your ascendant lord? Along with this, it's important to understand that Venus will mature at the age of 24. So this is a very important turning point in Venus's influence over your life. Along with this, during a Venus return, where Venus returns back to the position where it was placed within your natal chart. The most important moment, though, is during a Venus Mahadasha. So if you have not seen my video on the Venus Mahadasha Bhuktis, I will leave a link for that above and down below in the description. So what does Venus represent? Venus is the planet of love, of relationships, of romance, sensuality, of sexual activity, of sexual attraction. It is all about enjoyment, all about connection, bringing people together, friendship, our social life. Venus is a planet of peace. It is all about the pleasurable aspects of life. Venus is also about beauty, about entertainment, the arts, anything in performing arts, in creative expression. Venus is a planet that is all about the luxuries of life as well. Again, all about material indulgence, all about the sensual aspects of life. In a male's chart, Venus particularly represents the wife, but in general, Venus represents the spouse, as it is a signifactor of all of our relationships. Because Venus is about bringing people together and continuing on relationships and connections, it is also a planet of childbirth. So what does the third house represent? The third house is a house of courage, of willpower, of your ability to take action, to initiate, to go for what you want. It is the first of our karma houses, so it is all about our desires, but it is about the willpower, the drive to attain those desires in life. The third house is all about our interests, our hobbies, our activities in life, our day-to-day activity. It is all about our everyday life and our immediate surroundings. So including our cousins, neighbors, siblings, and everyone who is in our immediate surroundings. The third house is a house of short distance travel. It is all about shifting and moving around within our local environment. The third house is also a house of any kind of skills that we develop, all of our talents and abilities, specifically hands-on skills. Anything in writing, anything in sculpting, painting, all of this is seen to the third house. Anything where we are using DIY skills, where we are using our hands to solve problems, to come up with solutions, to build and create things, is seen to the third house. The third house also represents media, communication, technology. It is all about connecting with the masses, all about all of these careers that are involved in communication, such as writing, journalism. All of this can be seen through the third house. The third house also represents our relationship very strongly with our younger siblings. The third house is a house of competition, of sporting activities, again, anything that you have a talent or skill in. It is a house of fighting for what you want, of standing up against competition, against conflict. This is a house of dealing with legal issues and obstacles in life. So what happens when Venus comes into the third house? Well, because this is the house of communication and connecting to other people, this is definitely going to make you a very sociable person, particularly if Venus is not negatively afflicted, specifically if it is not being afflicted by malefic planets such as Saturn, which would give more of a shyness. But mostly Venus in this third house is going to make you someone who's very much engaged with your local community, very much a sociable person. You have excellent communication skills with Venus in this third house. This is going to give you a very beautiful and elegant way of speaking. You have a way of communicating that others find very attractive and pleasing to listen to. Venus in this third house is definitely going to give you a lot of skill in the arts. You can be very creative, very talented. Even if you are not necessarily doing something that is artistic, there is something artistic about the way that you do things. You're very skilled with your hands. You're able to work with things that require working with the hands. You have very good dexterity with Venus here in this third house. This also gives you really good attention to detail. You have acute senses and really strong observational skills. So again, this gives you a fine eye for detail. This gives you a lot of creative talent and ability. You're really good with patterns, with colors, with really picking apart the details. Venus in this third house also can make you someone who is very much sexual, romantic, easily attracted, because this third house again is all about our desires, and Venus is about love and romance. So you can be someone who falls in love very quickly, or someone who gets attracted easily to others. So you can get infatuated easily with this position. You want to be careful if Venus is negatively afflicted, as this can hurt relationships, as you can easily get drawn into different attractions. But for the most part, this makes you someone who can have some relationship difficulties, because this third house is a house of conflict. So you can find that there are a lot of disagreements, misunderstandings in your relationships, that you're suddenly getting into breakups, into situations where there are splits in your relationships sometimes. If Venus is badly afflicted in this chart, it can also indicate that there are two marriages for some of you as well. Venus here in the third house, though, for the most part makes you, again, a very pleasant person. You're very communicative, you're very social, you're very much pleasing to other people. So you have a very easygoing nature, a very pleasant attitude towards life. You are all about peace. You want to have peaceful surroundings, peaceful connections, and sometimes this can also make you a little bit passive in situations where you need to assert yourself, though. So there can be a tendency to try to be overly diplomatic, overly pleasing towards others, and not really getting out your true needs or desires in your communication. So sometimes Venus here also can show a need to assert yourself, a need to really make your needs known to other people. Venus in the third house also is going to make you someone who loves to move around. You're very active. You like to travel. And Venus is not only in this third house of short distance journeys, but also is aspecting onto the ninth house of foreign travel as well. So you can be a big traveler with Venus in this third house, constantly moving around, constantly engaging in different activities. This definitely is going to keep you on the move. Venus in the third house can also indicate a foreign spouse in some cases. Venus's aspect onto the ninth house can show that you can meet a spouse in a foreign location or while traveling. Venus in the third house also can indicate meeting a spouse through your local environment, through your cousins, friends, neighbors. You can meet someone in this area through a group situation, a small group setting. You can meet a partner as well. Venus's aspect onto the ninth house can sometimes create some obstacles in education as well. Venus here again is going to make you a very social person, so you can get distracted from your studies sometimes by getting too much into your social life. Sometimes there also can be a tendency to drift off from your studies. Venus here wants to relax, wants to be at peace. So definitely this is an area where there can be breaks in your studies for some of you. Venus also aspecting onto the ninth house can give conflicts with the father or with anyone who is trying to give you some kind of guidance or wisdom. This area of dealing with teachers, gurus, mentors can be challenging when Venus is sitting in this third house. Venus here in this third house can also indicate that you are surrounded by females. So you can have a lot of friends that are females, or you can find yourself working in a career where you are surrounded by females or feminine energy. So definitely there's a strong ability to connect with females when Venus is positioned in this third house. Again, you have a very pleasant and likable personality, so you can be very popular with this position as well. Venus in the third house can also make you very successful in business. You can be very skilled at management with this position. You can be very skilled at working in your own business sometimes. The third house, of course, is a very independent house because it is all about how you initiate yourself. So for some of you, you may find that working in self-employment is better for you than working in a job with this position. But definitely, whatever you do with Venus in this third house, you're very talented, very creative, so you can be very successful. You can attract a lot of wealth. For some of you, you could even be into social media. You can be an influencer through YouTube, Instagram, all of these platforms. You can be skilled at anything that is dealing with digital technology, with communications, with really expressing yourself and putting your creativity out into the world. You can even work in a situation where there's a lot of travel involved, where you are creatively expressing yourself through travel, like a travel blogger with this position as well. So definitely this is an excellent placement for wealth creation, for expressing yourself through your talents and creativity, but some challenges that are centered around relationships.